In a world where crises follow one after another, daily life is frenetic and the elements that form it are tremendously liquid. Stoicism is presented to successful entrepreneurs, personal trainers or writers as the best philosophy to help them live a full life based on the value of reason and not trying to dominate that which is beyond our control. Stoicism focuses especially on the emotions, which it refers to as passions, and which it divides into good, bad, and indifferent. The good ones are to be promoted, the indifferent ones are to be ignored, and the bad ones are to be dealt with. Stoicism's reflection on this is that people are not disturbed by the things that happen, but by the opinions they have about those things that happen. So, it is a matter of confronting those opinions and, before taking them on board, questioning them as if they were hypotheses rather than firm facts. In this way, they can be refuted by seeking a more productive perspective and getting a rational response to those passions in order to turn them into healthy emotions. So why do emotions matter for Stoics? Emotions matter when they obstruct from seeing the world accurately. This happens when we become wrapped up in them. Emotions matter when they push towards acting without reason. From this perspective, the emphasis isn't on decreasing negative emotions. The emphasis is on acting with reason and being committed to acting on our values. If you've ever played with a Chinese finger trap, you know that the game is a woven straw tube about the width of your finger. When you put one finger in each end and pull, the straw stretches out and gets narrower. The harder you pull, the narrower the tube gets, and it becomes impossible to get your fingers out. If you simply push your two fingers together, however, your fingers will be free. Now think about how life is like a Chinese finger trap. The more you fight against it, the more limits you have. If you stop fighting, you keep your freedom to make your own choices. Emotions are, in a sense, tools. They can provide valuable information about the world and motivate us to act well. They get in the way when we get wrapped up in them and lose touch with reality. The Stoics believe we should feel an affinity, care, and concern for our friends and family. They also acknowledge that we are affected by external events, that we have natural reactions like being scared or shocked. So jumping behind a wall after hearing an explosion isn't a passion, but hearing that you might lose your job and then becoming anxious and fearful is a passion. In this case, the Stoics counsel that we defeat these negative responses by thinking about whether they're called for. Perhaps we won't lose our job, or perhaps it won't be so bad if we do. This suggests that our fear may result in poor thinking. Whenever you are surrounded by people trying to convince you that you are unhappy, consider not what you hear them say, but what you yourself feel. It can be difficult to process sadness. People often try to numb it, avoid it, or deny that they're even experiencing it, instead of better understanding and working through the emotion. As a sensitive person who is attuned to other people's desires and expectations, you very easily pick up on their disappointment. Even the merest hint of criticism or perceived criticism can stress you out. Stoicism helps us deal with this sensitivity by putting distance between other people's opinions and our own sense of self-worth. Another person's opinion of you, whether it is positive or negative, does not impact who you are or what you're doing. That person probably isn't a sage, so their opinion may not hold much value. In fact, that person could have their own unvirtuous reasons for disliking or criticizing you. But even if the critique is well-intentioned, their opinion of you doesn't determine the worth of your character or your work. Let's do a mindfulness exercise. Set your timer for 5 to 10 minutes and then think about a recent event. How did you feel about that even at the moment? And how do you feel about it in your reflections? Write down any emotion that comes to mind: joy, anger, envy, frustration, fear, jealousy, etc. Pick one of these emotions and flesh it out. Why were you feeling that way? Who was the emotion directed towards? Was it helpful or did it cloud your judgment? Continue writing until the timer goes off. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Gratitude may seem like a warm sentiment reserved for Thanksgiving meals. However, deliberately cultivating this mindset every day provides profound benefits. The Stoics recognized that appreciating life's gifts protects us from constantly seeking more while overlooking the present abundance. So, instead of moving through each day on autopilot, make gratitude a focal point. List 3 things you're grateful for and reflect on in the morning and evening. Thank a stranger who holds the door for you. Savor a walk outside with full attention. Share genuine expressions of gratitude with loved ones. You know it's not within your power to make everyone happy all the time, yet you still feel guilty when you let someone down. Or maybe you see something that's not right with the world. People are suffering from war and hunger, and it pains you even though there's nothing you can do about it. Stoicism helps us step back and reflect carefully on whether it's worth tying ourselves up in emotional knots over something we cannot change. Part of wisdom is realizing that we have little influence over most things in the world. The world simply is the way it is. The ancient Stoics compared our situation in life to that of a dog tied to a cart. When the cart moves, the dog can either be dragged along beside it or start running behind the cart. Either way, the dog has no choice but to move, but one type of movement is much better for the dog. In the same way, we can choose whether to go with the world the way it is or be dragged along kicking and screaming. Which way makes more sense? The better choice is to make the best of the world as it is. This means figuring out what we can do within the parameters of our life instead of fretting about what we can't do. The more we practice recognizing these initial reactions, the better we become at pausing them. This might be the moment when others can label you a Stoic, because you have trained yourself to pause and apply reason to the situation. That would determine your action and improve your state of mind. But that reaction isn't what others see as normal. They think that you shut down and ignored the emotions. But in the meantime, you've done the exact opposite. The more you practice and keep your philosophy at hand, the better your reaction will be. That same presentation will then become just that, a presentation. And as long as you do your best, then nothing bad can happen to you, and your peace of mind will stay intact. Taking that pause is where we want to start. It could be as simple as taking a deep breath, or you need some more time. But before we move to an action, we should make sure that we are not being ruled by that same emotion. If so, we will give back what we have received. This will not allow us to be a better person and will cause harm to ourselves and others. Reducing the time we need for that pause is all about practice, finding the best way that works for you. Going for a walk or listening to some music can help you. But it's better to remove ourselves from the source of the emotion for a second. For both negative and positive emotions, we should apply this pause. Winning the lottery can send us into a world of hurt if we don't examine what this means to us and our lives. Join us in embracing the timeless wisdom of Stoicism for a more fulfilling and harmonious life. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content on personal development and well-being. Let's cultivate a Stoic mindset together.